Hi Novak, great to see you back out on centre court. I just wanted to talk about the knee sleeve because it looked grey from the crowd.
I know.
Just wondered,
Grey or great?
it looked grey. The colour.
Grey, yeah, it is grey.
I just wondered with the Wimbledon all white policy whether you had noticed about the colour of the knee sleeve.
I did check. I actually just met chairwoman just before walking onto the court, so she gave me thumbs up, so it was okay. And of course, we did check in the days prior if we have a permission, and we're trying to find a white one. Trust me. It's. I saw Francis Tiafoe played. He had actually a black color sleeve. So gray, I think it's maybe slightly better towards the white. But yeah, I know it's not ideal, and I like to go all white, and I like to respect the rules. But I got the permission, so I said it to them that we'll give our best to try to find for next match the white one.
Please take your seats quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Tennis Weekly with Joel, Kim and Chris. On today's Wimbledon Day 2 catch-up.
Djokovic returns to centre with a routine win.
Defending champ Vondrousova suffers a shock exit.
And Andy Murray will play only the doubles on his Wimbledon farewell.
Kim, Chris, today is the 2nd of July and we are here to catch up on day 2 of Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ. And it's been another eventful day here at the championships with the defending champion Marketa Vondrousova being dumped out, Jack Draper coming through in a 5-set thriller under the roof, and Novak Djokovic returning to the court just 27 days after withdrawing from the French Open with injury. Elsewhere, Andy Murray announced he won't be participating in the singles but will compete in the doubles with his brother Jamie, and Katie Boulter set up an all-British clash with Harriet Dart. Guys, today, just reflecting on day 2, I feel like it started slowly. We had a few showers. I may have arrived in the afternoon, but the last hour or so, I feel like it's just been bedlam, chaos, everything from top to bottom.
We have no idea who's finished, who's still to play, but we do know that round 1 is not over and that Kim did not camp. So she's here with us.
I feel just as tired, though, as if I had camped. Because
you scrubbed up very nice for the occasion.
Thank you very much. I wasn't like this yesterday, I can definitely assure you. Very rough after being in the queue. But yes, it was nice to come in, I don't know, in a slightly more glamorous way this morning. But yeah, we're here late because, I mean, play just seems to finish later and later at Wimbledon these days, doesn't it? Especially when you have showers and therefore all the outside courts going on until the
And I don't think Stan
end.
Wawrinka, actually, Chris, to your point, even knows what the schedule is. He tweeted earlier, Wimbledon, please can I have the schedule? Please can I know when my matchup is tomorrow?
Well, does it even matter if you know when it is? Because it could just change. Anything could change. So I think Stan has asked that question before, so he's not always happy with not knowing his schedule, and maybe he's a little bit more high maintenance than some of the other players.
I mean, Thomas Machak, for example, which we'll get onto. I mean, I say court changes. He probably had the biggest fall from grace because he was like thinking probably, oh my God, I'm going to be on centre court. I'm going to be playing Andy Murray. It's going to be Andy Murray's final singles match at Wimbledon. And before you knew it, he was, I don't even know what court he ended up.
17
Court
against
133, yeah, against David Goff. Oh yes, and I think he was losing as well. So it just shows how much your luck can change, I think, in 24 hours.
He might have been manifesting a win on centre court, but that won't happen, certainly. But yeah, we'll be getting on to the subject of court changes. A lot of players having to be very adaptable and flexible this tournament already so far, as we've seen. But let's start with, I guess, one of the, not the matches of the day in terms of, drama or excitement, but one that we were all fixed on, and that was to see how Novak Djokovic got on centre court. As you said, Joel, just now, 27 days since surgery on his meniscus, which he tore at Roland Garros. But he looked very much at home against Vit Kopriva, a Czech qualifier on centre court today. 6-1, 6-2, 6-2, very comfortable scoreline. How impressed were you with his performance?
I was really impressed. I think ultimately a lot of us had some question marks, but I feel like from talking to players like Taylor Fritz who've had a similar experience, he said that you don't lose strength, and Djokovic said that today was the first time he was sliding, so it felt like, to be honest, for Djokovic it was business as usual, just a very strange build-up to the tournament for him.
I think it's really interesting you talk about the question mark, because some people I think this is like the absolute this is a miracle. It's superhuman strength that he is back on here. But there's also other people who are kind of reining it in a bit slightly in terms of, yes, this is an injury that happened, but we saw, I say, with Taylor Fritz, it looked really bad. I think he was in a wheelchair when he got carried off with a similar sort of injury, but was back on the courts for Wimbledon.
He was back on the courts and in less time than Djokovic. So the whole time when people are saying, did he really have an operation? Well, he did have surgery, and it was very similar to Taylor Fritz. And Taylor Fritz said he played some of his best tennis coming back from that. So that might be a warning to the rest of the draw.
The rest of the field better be worried. I mean, Djokovic did say in press, he's been still quite tentative, but he did try sliding that one time, and that was the first time he'd slid on grass. So, but he certainly looked, pretty good, and he said he wasn't fully going for everything. So just think, how much improvement there is still to come, and he will need it as the matches, in theory, get tougher as the draw goes on. He will actually have a British player in the next round, Jacob Fernley, who won through today on his debut. What a great matchup
for him. I mean, I think he got a wild card into Wimbledon. He won his first title. He won the Challenger title in Nottingham earlier on in the grass court season. So this feels like a great story. But yeah, certainly for Novak Djokovic, it's very, very promising start. And actually, the biggest change, I think, was the knee sleeve that he had on him, on his right leg. You may have heard in the intro, I did a little bit of investigative journalism during the press conference, because I didn't think that was in the Wimbledon all-whites policy code. Yeah, I needed to get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, you did, and I think that we did get to the bottom of it. He's doing his best, and I think that he did his best on court today. But Joel, you were courtside watching that match. Did it feel like Djokovic at his best? Did it feel like the Djokovic that you're used to seeing on centre court?
It did to an extent. I don't think his opponent was particularly challenging. I think that was very nice from Djokovic's point of view, and I still am not really sure where I'm at with Djokovic. Is he a favourite? Is he an underdog? Can he be an underdog when he's a 7-time champion? Personally, for me, I still put him in that underdog status. I can't yet put him in that category where perhaps Sinner and Alcaraz are, but going on further into the tournament with bigger tests to come, my view may change.
I say put him as an underdog at your peril. But we also actually impressed. It was very touching to hear Novak Djokovic talk about Andy Murray, because obviously big news earlier today was that Andy Murray will not be playing the singles. He did pull out of his match against Thomas Maček. His team, released a statement that said that unfortunately, despite working incredibly hard on his recovery since his operation just over a week ago, Andy has taken the very difficult decision not to play the singles this year. As you can imagine, he is extremely disappointed, but has confirmed that he will be playing in the doubles with Jamie and looks forward to competing at Wimbledon for the last time. Joel, I know you were really hopeful to see him today as one last kind of hurrah for the singles. How did you feel when you heard this news this morning?
There was part of me that was like, he will do his best. He will try his best to get on the court, but unfortunately it wasn't happen. I think it's a bittersweet moment, the fact that, he's not being able to play the singles. He will get the moment with the doubles. We will get the tearjerker moment, and the fact that he's confirmed that this is his last Wimbledon, it's going to be very, very emotional, regardless of what the match is.
And is it a bit worrying, or not worrying, but everyone's really excited now for the doubles on centre court, I think on Thursday, but it takes like this for people to kind of get excited about doubles so early on in the tournament and have it put on centre court. But wouldn't it be great if the doubles game was this prominent always?
It would, but remember when Andy and Serena played together, the doubles game really was very prominent. And I have to say I'm rather distracted right now because Ivan Lupicic just walked past us as we're recording, which is not something that happens every day. It does happen every day at Wimbledon, and that is the perk of being on the site, isn't it, Kim?
It's a good job we weren't talking about him. Not that we would be. He's not really in our priorities to talk about this evening.
I didn't see that on the script that we talked about, no. But in terms of what happened, obviously Andy didn't play that slot, but another Brit did.
We had Jack Draper take his place. He was moved from, I believe, court 2, bumped up, promoted to centre court.
There was something like kind of changing of the guard about it, I feel, with the fact that Andy Murray withdrew effectively from the singles and Jack Draper essentially took his spot. There was something...
Stepped into his shoes.
He literally stepped into his shoes, yeah. It was, it felt like a moment. It did feel like a moment.
Symbolic, focus on the future, the treasure of the past, but it's the future now that counts. I mean, Draper went to 5 sets with Elias.
You were
Ymer.
at that match.
I was at that match.
I mean, what was your vibe in that 5th set?
Yeah, they closed the roof for the 5th set, and that's when you really get that kind of real roar from the crowd, like it really fires up under the roof. But yeah, I was very impressed with Jack Draper in that 5th set. Very calm and composed. Didn't
You
let
weren't
it
nervous
faze
at all?
him. No, I actually felt pretty comfortable. I mean, he got off to he broke in like the 4th game.
So he put you at ease with
and kind of then backed it up very quickly. So he went 4-1 up pretty quickly. Had a point to go 5-1. You could have got a double break, but yeah, I thought. Good finish to the match. Probably shouldn't have let it go to 5.
Should it have gone to 5? Could he have got it
Arguably
done
not.
sooner? Was it the fact he did have to go and upgrade to a court with the preparation? Do you think that was something he maybe wasn't mentally preparing for centre court on his first match?
Yeah, because he has played on centre court before against Djokovic all those years ago. But this is, I think, the
He's
most...
got to get used to it, I would say.
Yeah, he's going to be on centre a lot more, especially now he's seeded.
Yeah, if he
He's
keeps
British
winning.
#1. Let's hope he's on centre a lot more. But yeah, more spotlights on Draper, and perhaps that did play into kind of a bit of initial nerves as well. And he's got Cameron Norrie, fellow Brit, in the next round. So whether that's going to be on centre or 1, double Brits there.
Who has got the bigger point to prove in that matchup? Jack Draper or Cam Norrie?
That's
Both
tricky.
in their own way, isn't it?
Norrie
Don't they?
needs the win, but I think that Jack Draper wants to cement his status at the top. So I think it's really hard to call, but either way, I think the battle of the Brits that we're having, we've got 2 of them, one on either side of the draw, Dart and Boulter. It'd be interesting to see where they get scheduled, because we don't often see Brits playing each other at Wimbledon in the second round. I mean, it happens a lot at the French Open. You see a lot of French players, and it feels like court 2, court 3.
It feels like London buses, two at once.
I know.
In the second round.
Because we've got Dart and Boulter on the ladies' side. They both won through today. I mean, they'll have to get used to maybe a last-minute schedule change wherever court they're put on, because we did actually have Ons Jabeur also prone to a schedule change today. She was due to be on court 2, and she actually ended up getting moved to court 14. So she had a demotion to an outside court. And considering she's a 2-time finalist here, some people might have thought that was a bit rude to, relegate her, so to speak. But actually, we did ask her about this in press.
Definitely, yeah. I thought about it. Honestly, I really don't care if I play a big court or a small court. Maybe I care when it's raining because there is a roof. But I think court 14 is a beautiful court. It's a cozy, and it keeps me really close to the fans. And I've been hearing a lot of what they were saying. Did you watch some matches today? And it's fun because you don't hear that when you're playing big courts. And I honestly enjoy every moment. For me, it's really to focus on my game and on just enjoying every part of it.
Was there anything fun that you heard from the fans?
The only discussion was, what did you do today? How many matches did you watch? And I was hearing which matches, and they've been having fun. And I was like, yeah, Ons, have fun. They're having fun, so do it.
And I think that's interesting, because for her, she just wanted to get the match done. She had good memories of being out there. She liked hearing what the other fans were saying. It was quite a different experience, almost relaxed her in that sense. So maybe it's easier to go down a court than up a court. And I think that for Ons, a seamless transition into round 2 was what court 14 provided her with.
And court 1, the action actually finished quite early. I was surprised that they didn't perhaps move something onto to that court, because it was just sitting empty from about 7 p.m.
It's like the most impossible question, I feel like. Hell has to freeze over before Wimbledon think about, I think, putting a 4th match on to one of the show courts, regardless of how early they finish. But I feel like it's one of these things that I feel like the fans are always clamouring for around like 5-6 p.m. And Ons Jabeur, like 2-time finalist. I don't know. To me, it's sort of just like it made sense.
It seemed the obvious.
It was a crowd.
Didn't it?
Could be a crowd pleaser. Ticket resales. Open it up. Yeah, job done.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bit of a rain delay today, but the weather does look all right for the rest of the week. So I think Wimbledon kind of would have maybe moved another match on there if they thought the forecast was terrible. But I think hopefully, touch wood, it's okay. But outside on the rest of the courts, we obviously had a lot in action today. Notable upset is Andrei Rublev. He's out. He's one of the top seeds, really. Out in 4 sets. And
can we just talk about that anger thing that happened on the court, where he crashed his racket into his knee about 7 times in a row? I think he does it because he doesn't want to damage the grass. He doesn't want to throw his racket. He doesn't want to damage his racket. But he's damaging himself.
I was there for that. He was really, really going for it. The crowd hate it. They really do. It makes them feel very uncomfortable, irrespective of whether he does have it kind of together mentally or not. I'm not going to ask any questions about that or delve into that. But it does make the crowd feel very uncomfortable. And he did it just before a rain delay. So I actually thought maybe it would help, he could calm down. But he couldn't get it back together. And it really did feel like he mentally just didn't keep it level.
Did he get a code violation for that?
The biggest outburst he didn't know.
So I'm just kind of confused about that, because I know we get code violations for racket smashes, but when you kind of bounce aggressively your racket into your knee multiple times, regardless of the damage it is causing, do you feel like that warrants a code violation?
I think there should be code violations for things like that, because it is definitely uncomfortable. It definitely feels like you shouldn't be doing that. And I think that if you are kind of causing harm to yourself on the court, we've seen that before. If you draw blood, for example, then you have to get treated for it, and that can also delay play. You can get called for that. So I think ultimately it is not good.
I'm getting Eugenie flashbacks.
Yeah, a
when
lot of
he-
people were saying that.
He hit like the racket frame, didn't he, against his forehead?
Yeah, and it was sort of the very dramatic, almost like he was a warrior on the tennis court, and that was very dramatic. But someone who also kind of tends not to behave particularly well, Holger Rune, managed to get through. Out on court, was it court 16, which was quite surprising.
Yeah, we had a lot of big players on courts that I was like, oh, I don't know, because Tsitsipas also was on court 18. I feel like a real downgrade for Tsitsipas. But Chris, I wanted to ask you very quickly, Holger Rune. Now, he did an interview with The Telegraph, and there's a quote coming out of it. Kim, I want your views on this as well, very quickly. He said, I hope Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner, and myself are called the Big Three. I know you love Big Three chat, so I'm getting it in. I'm worried about my Big Three jar. It's going up every single moment. But what do you make of that statement?
Well, I think if you say Big Three anymore,
Big Three, Big Three, Big Three.
then you'll have to buy us something
Swear
from the
jar.
Wimbledon shop instead for Wimbledon shop credits. But I personally think that it's a strange one. I imagine he probably was asked about it specifically and how he would like to consider himself in there. So I think when he says, I hope Carlos Alcaraz, Yannick Sinner and I are called the Big Three, I think I think he does hope that.
It's more of an aspiration.
Yes, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt there. But I also do think that if you are going to put yourself in that sort of company, you do need to back it up on the tennis court.
And unfortunately for the British players, we did have a bit of a heartbreaking loss for Paul Jubb here on a wild card.
I was watching. He was match point up.
Match point against Thiago Seybothveld, but Seybothveld coming through 7-5 in the fifth.
And Billy Harris losing in 4 to Jaume Munar, Kim. We've joked a long time. We've joked a long time about Jaume Munar. Jaume Munar on a grass. Actually, he's actually okay on a grass court, to give him his credit. But Billy Harris,
Just okay.
Billy Harris, though, we thought he could do a job there.
Well, Billy Harris has come in with such good form, and maybe he. I don't know. It's just playing at Wimbledon is very different, isn't it, to kind of the challenges and the regular ATP events.
Tennis maybe has caught up with him as well over the last few weeks.
Losing to Munar in 4 on your Wimbledon debut, I guess there's no shame in that. He did his best, I'm absolutely sure. And Jan Cherinsky also losing 2 sets to 1 up for the Brits. But we, obviously we did have wins with Draper there, and Norrie as well. But let's take a very quick ad break now. We'll be back in the second half to look at all of the women's action from day 2, including defending champion Marketa Vondrousova's shock first round exit, and Katie Boulter setting up an all-British round 2 blockbuster with Harriet Dart. So do not go anywhere.
Nothing crazy. No. I did an escape room a few days ago with my sister. That's not really a tradition. It was just like we were bored. It was in Kingston, in like, I don't know, some shopping mall kind of deal next to the train station. We actually crushed it. So yeah, it was me and her and another player, Desiree Kravchuk, and we got out, and it was only 3 of us, so we were a little nervous. We're like, ooh, 3. It's a little light. I don't know if it's going to be, but we actually crushed it. So I don't know, maybe I'll go do another one tonight to keep the momentum.
That was Jessica Pegula talking about the escape room she did a couple of days ago with her sister and Desiree Kravchuk, which begs the question, guys, which tennis players would you want to do an escape room with? Who do you think would give you the best chance of escaping in the allotted time?
I can tell you, I reckon who the worst player might be, and that is Andrei Rublev, because I think he would just get very frustrated and angry at every single aspect
of
an escape room. Yeah, he might just start attacking the room.
The furniture.
I would not want to be locked in a room with Andrei Rublev, that's for sure. I might go for Iga Swiatek. I think she's a very natural problem solver.
Like that?
Yes.
I would go for someone who I guess would maybe inject some humour into the situation as well. Maybe Gail
Okay.
Monfils,
Monfils,
someone
yeah,
you know,
like
to kind of keep you calm through humour. So I think humour, problem solving, thinking outside the box, perhaps, bit of creativity. Do you think we would do well in an escape room if we were all three of us?
Ooh.
Yes.
Who would be the best? Who would be the
I think
standout
Chris would be
performer?
like the overall commander.
I try and keep people on track, but I do very little myself.
You delegate us to the tasks.
You're
I'll take a padlock
very good at your
here.
quizzes, Kim. So I think you would be the kind of the one that's sort of helping me and Chris to escape. Is the way I'm sort of looking at it.
Maybe we should do one and
We
let
should
our
create.
listeners know how it
We
goes.
need a Wimbledon escape room. We need a tennis-themed
yes.
escape room.
Why don't we just do the Kingston one she went to?
Oh my God, let's do that.
That is doable.
Let's do it.
Summer Tennis Weekly, away
Summer
day.
party. Summer
Yes,
party.
I like the
at
sound of that.
the escape room that JPEG went to.
Well, someone who needed a bit more problem solving and maybe wanted to escape at some point today was Marketa Vondrousova, because she did lose in straight sets in the first match of her title defence out on centre court. She was first up, as the tradition goes for the ladies defending champion, on the Tuesday, but she lost 6-4, 6-2 to Jessica Pegula of Spain. Big shock. Monero had never won a Grand Slam match before. This was her very first tour level victory on grass, and Vondrousova was really not at the races today. She was just not there at all. Very lackluster, very, very nervous. 3 double faults in the opening game kind of set the tone for the rest of the match. And she is the very first ladies singles defending champion to fall in the first round since 1994. So it's been 30 years. And that was when Steffi Graf was beaten by Laurie McNeil. So it's been a very long time this has happened here at Wimbledon. Chris, how have we ended up with this? I mean, I know neither of us were really talking about Vondrousova for winning the title again, but did we expect a first round defeat?
I think the hip and the injury probably didn't help the nerves. Yesterday we opened the episode with Ymer Raducanu talking about the fact that no one feels completely great going out to centre court for the first time, and especially if you have an injury. So I imagine that that's what kind of boiled over for her today. And we know she has the game. She's proved it on centre court. It's not like she's a one-time Grand Slam finalist. She's done it before. So unfortunately, I think it's almost like a rite of passage now that you don't necessarily have a fantastic run having won the Wimbledon title.
And she did retire from the Berlin event a couple of weeks ago with a hip injury that I think she sustained there. Do you think that really played an impact, Joel? I mean, she said impressed. She didn't really refer to it impressed, but it didn't look like she was moving as well as she could.
Yeah, it was hard to know how much she was giving away, because she just kind of kept coming back to her opponent playing very well. And I agree, her opponent wasn't fazed by the situation and played a great game. But I think for Marketa Vondrousova, we've seen much better tennis from her, and it's just a bit sad when you're defending champion and you go out in round one. However, what I will say though is it's almost like a curse, I think, being the defending champion, because we've looked at how other defending champions at Wimbledon have performed in the year after, and it hasn't always gone according to plan. So this isn't like, yes, this is a shock, but there's also precedent for it.
Yeah, it's been 7 years, I think, since the defending champion has even reached further than the third round. I think Rybakina in 2023, she reached the third round in her title defence, but everyone else in the last 7 years has lost.
I remember
before then.
Muguruza lost in round 2 in 2018. Kerber lost in round 2 as well in 2019. So there is precedent for it, but yeah, it's still a bit of a shame.
And some other reasons, were players injured or having retired, or I think Serena, having being pregnant. So many reasons why maybe champions.
That's not a curse, that's a blessing.
Yeah, exactly. We're not. Yeah, there are other reasons, but it's just quite an interesting that it's not as common as we've seen Swiatek defend at Roland Garros, for example. It's complete opposite here. Talking of Swiatek, actually, she won her first round match, her opener today, over Sofia Kenin 6-3, 6-4. Obviously, Sofia Kenin, former Grand Slam champion, and this was a repeat of the Roland Garros final of 2020. Interestingly, they actually played each other in Australian Open as well this year. But Swiatek coming through pretty comfortably today in just over an hour and 15 minutes. Not really, she said she felt a bit rusty, but considering she's not played on the grass this season, she was, I thought she did a very well, in her performance. Chris, what did you make of her opening match today?
I think a lot of us were asking the question, can Kenin produce the level that she produced out of nowhere last Wimbledon to upset Coco Gauff? And with Kenin, you never know which Kenin's going to turn up. And today, it wasn't the Kenin that could do that. And Iga was far too good. So ultimately, she did enough. I think it was quite a good test for her. And we actually asked her about whether it is better to play against a tough opponent, a slam champion early on, or it's better to have an easy draw.
Iga, you've had some quite tough early draws at Grand Slams this year. Obviously, Kenin's a Grand Slam champion. You played in Australia as well. Do you think that facing a test early on actually helps you at majors?
That's a tough question because, as a player that is, seeded and sometimes even has a bye on most of tournaments, you're getting used to kind of having these first 2 matches and having them under control. So it's not a case when you have a draw like that. You need to be ready, straight away. And obviously I treat every match, like fully, like professionally. But sometimes you just know that you're gonna have control, and it's different when you play a Grand Slam champion or a player that can play good. So I wouldn't say it's easier because on Roland Garros, as you could see against Naomi, I could be out early. It's a little bit harder even. But on the other hand, when you have these stressful situations or tight moments early in the tournament, when you're gonna have them, in the semifinal or something, you're not gonna get so stressed because you'll be already used to it and you'll be already kind of in the rhythm. But first you need to get through these first rounds.
I mean, she referred to that Osaka match. It's so true. It's fine if you get past the test, but if she had lost that match point to Osaka, then maybe the tough draw wouldn't have done as well for her in Paris.
Yeah, you'd rather have had, the easiest opponents possible if you lose out. But let's look at some of the other results from the women's draw today. Obviously, British-wise, we had Katie Boulter winning through against Tatiana Maria. That was 7-6, 7-5. So a bit of an edgy one there for Boulter. But she does now set up a clash with Harriet Dart, who came through.
And they played Nice-Bourne, didn't they?
No, they played in Nottingham.
No, Nottingham. Sorry, Nottingham. It was like 3 hours, 30 minutes, wasn't it? And do we expect the same sort of closeness in here? Because I see Boulter as she actually elevates her game, personally, to me, on the grandest stage at Grand Slams. So I actually see Boulter coming through that maybe a bit more comfortably this time.
I actually think that Dart might come through it because Dart has been quite sick but producing great results. And I think Nottingham obviously has a special place for Katie, who was also on well when she was there. Whereas I feel like now the expectation is on Katie, whereas Harriet Dart really has got the bit between her teeth to show that she does deserve to be in the conversation when it comes to British tennis at the moment. And I mean, I really think that whichever way you look at it, it's just good to have more Brits in the next round.
Absolutely. And another match I wanted to just mention was the Ostapenko-Tomljanovic match.
Do we have to mention this match?
Well, me and you, Joel, I think we both had upset alert, and it really was anything but. It was completely dominant victory.
It was
for
surprising in
Ostapenko.
how wrong we were, because it was, what was it?
1-2.
1-2, wow.
I know.
I'm enjoying that theme, how wrong you two were. That's quite nice, isn't it?
I mean, don't go with my predictions. Terrible so far. Caroline Garcia coming through, they're fairly comfortable, which I was quite pleased with. And JPEG, Jessica Pegula, getting the very early win before the rain delays. 2 in love there.
We got up to like the press level, and I was like, she's already in press? How's that happened? But yeah, she was very quick against Kruger, I think, and then job done, move on to the next round.
Clearly the impact of the escape room, maybe.
Yes,
It's got wonders for your game.
The problem solving of the escape room, that's what happened.
How do I win before the rain comes? There we go.
Do an escape room.
But let's have a look at the order of play for tomorrow. On centre court, we do have Medvedev opening proceedings against Alexandre Muller, followed by Osaka Navarro. That could be interesting. And last up, Sinner against Berrettini, the all-Italian clash. Ooh,
it's exciting.
I know. And then number 1 court, we've got Coco Gauff against Tudoni of Romania, followed by Alcaraz Vukic. I mean, Vukic has been doing quite well lately on the grass. And Emma Raducanu against Elise Mertens, last up on centre. Gosh, how do we feel about Raducanu against Mertens?
I think quite good, actually. Mertens also retired in Eastbourne, so I'm thinking potentially she might even play Mertens tomorrow, but if she does, I think Emma's shown the fight that she has and she can really make matches tough for opponents to win. So the longer that goes, the more likely she is to win it.
I know you said Raducanu on centre, and I was sort of expecting this match to be on centre, but she's actually on number 1 court. And I would arguably say number 1 court, the order of play there is a little bit more tastier in my book than the centre court matchups.
They've just kind of swapped it from Monday, haven't they?
They have. Yeah.
Same Sinner, Alcaraz, Goff and Raducanu were all on centre on Monday.
Exactly.
Swapped it over. We've obviously had a few round one matches cancelled from today, so they'll need to be slotted into the schedule tomorrow as well. So lots going on around the whole grounds tomorrow. Finally, before we finish though from today, we do actually need to unveil our collector set predictions, some of which may already be quite terrible. So just to remind everyone, we did ask for you all to send in your own predictions. So thanks very much if you have already sent them in. They have been entered into the draw and we wish you all the best of luck with them. We did have Jannik Sinner, Carlos Alcaraz, Jack Draper, Iga Swiatek, Naomi Osaka and Ymer Raducanu as our 6 player picks. So I'm going to go through each one in turn and we're going to say what our prediction is for collector set. So let's start off with Jannik Sinner. Joel, what did you put?
Champion.
Chris?
Champion.
Oh, I've gone runner-up.
Oh, boo.
So we're all, he's going far. Carlos Alcaraz, Joel?
Semi-finals.
Also
Chris?
the semi-finals.
Oh, same. Clean sweep. 3 semi-finals. Jack Draper, Joel?
I've actually bottled it here from the predictions I've given because I think I had to go to the semi-final. I've climbed back. I've said round 3.
Oh, well, I've said round 3 too. So
I think we've all said round 3.
Oh, we're all in alignment.
We said round 3 before.
Yes, we did, to be fair. We're consistent. And on to the women. Iga Swiatek, Joel?
Semi-finals.
I've said the same again.
Oh, well, I've said round 4 just to spice it up. Naomi Osaka, Joel?
Semi-finals.
Okay, Chris?
I went round 2.
So she's losing to Emma Navarro tomorrow, is she?
Ooh, interesting.
She is.
Well, I've gone round 3, so I'm going slightly better.
By the way, very nice to see Naomi Osaka back on centre court. I haven't seen that in a long
absolutely.
time. But
well, she's earned the right to be there, coming back. And Emma Raducanu, last but not least, Joel?
Quarter-finals. And I'm feeling confident because Alexandrova did withdraw. So I feel like it's given me a little bit more confidence that that's actually going to happen.
And Chris?
I've done what Kim does with Rafa. I don't want to jinx it, so I said round 3.
I think round 3 is quite a safe guess for that one. Well, I said round 1, so I'm already wrong because Emma obviously won yesterday.
We should make it clear to all of our listeners that people who did change the prediction based on the withdrawal, we have to go on the original, unfortunately.
Yes.
So Kim has to suffer the round 1 loss there, but the rest of it all still counts apart from that.
Absolutely, yeah. I did make that prediction when Alexandrova was still in the draw.
It was tough but fair.
One of the things that they've done actually for anyone queuing this year, once you get your tickets and you go, they've got this new sort of like fan bit once you've bought your tickets and you're kind of waiting to get into the grounds through security. And they have a thing you can walk through where they have a match selected for the day and there's like 2 doorways and you can walk it whichever one you walk through, it registers that kind of person. So they had who do you think is going to win against Alexandrova and Raducanu, and I chose to walk through the Alexandrova doorway.
Kim, how dare you?
Anyone queuing, look out for that. Wonder which match is going to be chosen.
It's all coming out now.
You can take part
Kim's
in
the
your
kiss of death.
You can take part in your very own win projector.
I can't look at you in the same way anymore, Kim.
Let the side down, but I'm glad Emma proved myself wrong. And we are coming to a close then from our wrap up of the second day's play. It's completely pitch black now.
It's pitch black. We are in the dark, and again, it is our time. It is our time to finish. So, listeners, I hope you have enjoyed our latest episode of the Tennis Weekly podcast. Remember to subscribe to us to stay up to date on all the action to come from Wimbledon.
We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all major podcasting platforms out there. So if you like what you're hearing, then make sure to leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
And do follow us on social media so you can see all of the action from Wimbledon that we're posting on our social media, and you can email us as well. For social, we're on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube and X, and the handle is Tennis Weekly Pod. You can purchase our Tennis Weekly merch that we're sporting here at Wimbledon, and that's at etsy.com/shop/tennisweeklypodcast. Email us at tennisweeklypod@gmail.com or check out our website, tennisweekly.co.uk.
And we will be back tomorrow from Wimbledon at Tennis Weekly HQ for our Day 3 catch-up. So I hope you can join us for that. But in the meantime, it's goodbye from Kim.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from Chris.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. We'll see you again soon.